how you can be the greatest salesperson on the planet.
Welcome to the Rethink Sales Show. My name is Derek Kelly. I am joined by Jim Shorkey. And Jim, we love helping people rethink how they approach sales and also help them live out their purpose.
Just to preempt this message, okay, Derek thinks he's going to stump me. He thinks he's going to trip me up here. Let's just be aware of that, and let's just see how this turns out. See if Derek can, in fact, trip me up or stump me. I doubt it. So let's see what happens.
So, Jim, you and I are not big news guys, right?
No.
But a big piece in the news, and you're the car salesman, is one of the most viewed videos in the world right now is Tesla's released this new Cybertruck. It's the most viewed car video that's been created in probably since YouTube and all those internet algorithms are around. It's somehow they're marketing it really successfully, and it seems like they're selling it really. So I thought it'd just be an interesting case study of why is this huge slab piece of metal, are they selling it? They're obviously selling it well and they're marketing it. Why? And why are people interested in this? And people always say, you guys should talk a little bit on cars and the market.
Right,
and so we don't
right.
often do that, but I thought it'd just be an interesting conversation of kind of different than what we talk about, just to
Right.
see if our audience enjoys it. Of what are your thoughts on this big, huge truck driving around that is a piece of metal that's an electric vehicle? What are your thoughts? Is it good marketing? Is it good sales, or is it a good vehicle?
Okay, let's be very clear here. My thoughts are, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know. We don't sell Tesla.
Sure.
So in my worldview, I don't care about Tesla. But
That
I
makes
also didn't care
sense.
about
Yeah.
Buick.
Yeah.
I didn't care about Lexus. I'm not a Lexus
Good,
dealer.
yeah.
Never cared about it. They sell 40 zillion, blah, blah, blah. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's got nothing to do with me.
Interesting,
So
yeah.
I don't know anything about
Yeah.
Tesla other than I know it's a car. So that would be my first thought is I just simply don't know.
Great.
And I'd like to
Yeah.
answer that question in a different manner.
Yeah.
So
please do.
when you think about being an entrepreneur, an entrepreneur is a person who discovers, a need. There's a need out there
Yes.
in the world. And then, or she, of course, comes up with a solution to that need.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have a need. Here's my solution for that need. And so I'm going to market my solution to your need. And so when you look at the electric vehicle situation, I have concerns about them.
Sure.
You know, number
Yeah.
one,
Great.
they're very expensive.
Yes.
They're really expensive. So a lot of people have a need, but they can't afford it. They just
Right,
can't. They
right.
can't afford it. So that would be the first thought I would have as I analyze a market situation. Is there a need, and can I satisfy that need, and at what cost?
Yeah.
So the problem that I see with the electric cars is, number one, can people afford to buy them? And that's a huge concern that I would have.
Right.
Beyond that, I truly
Yeah.
don't know for sure.
Right.
I don't know that if I look at it from an engineering perspective, I think that, to me at least, and again, this is
Right.
the same as me giving somebody medical advice. I don't want to do that today. So I'm going to give a car opinion,
Yes.
just an opinion. So I think the internal combustion engine is a very good system.
Yeah.
And I think that for me at least, so the need would be for people to reduce their carbon footprint.
Yes.
And perhaps spend less money driving the car, and et cetera. So that would be the need. And so what I would think about if I was making cars, which I'm not, building cars, all that, is I would want to make the internal combustion engine more efficient.
Yes.
So I would research ways to make it more efficient in terms of gas mileage. And how can I do that? I think personally, it's just my opinion, I think the answer is hybrid. I do. I think that we can develop a system where the car operates on both principles, electric and gasoline.
Yes.
And so
And you
I
see
actually,
Toyota's really pushing into this.
yeah,
hybrid
I actually
piece.
drive a hybrid. I do. A hybrid minivan. I love it. It's great. And so it's a combination of electric, and when the electricity runs out within the vehicle itself, then it switches to gasoline. But as you're driving the vehicle, it's got a system where you recharge the battery as you're going. So it'll flip back and forth between
Yeah.
electricity and gasoline.
Right.
So I think that maybe is some technology that needs to be further developed,
Explored,
right?
yeah.
And as opposed to the pure electric scenario. I know one thing that's a concern of many people beyond the expense of it. They're very
Yes.
expensive. They really
Yes.
are. They're not inexpensive. But the other concern would be what is called range anxiety. My wife and I regularly go to Eastern Pennsylvania to visit her
Yeah.
mom and dad and her whole family. They all
Yeah.
live out there.
How many miles is that? Do you know?
Yeah, I would venture to guess it's got to be close to 300 miles.
Yeah, that's about a range of an EV, but that's a
Whoa,
pretty
yes
tight
and no.
range. Yeah.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
So as a driver of a car, you're out in a turnpike and I'm running out of gas. I pull over, I get gas.
Correct.
But with the electric situation, it's not necessarily that simple.
That's right.
So if I go to the gas station and pull and say, okay, let me find a charging station. Oh, crap, there's no charging stations because there aren't
Yeah,
always
that
charging
infrastructure's
stations.
just not there.
And the next thing about it, so I pull in, oh, there are charging stations there. There are. Tesla, I see that. Oh, they're all being used.
Yep.
Now what? So I got to wait.
Yeah.
I can't leave. I'm running out of.
It's not
I'm running
5
out of
or 10 minutes
electricity.
to fill up your tank. It's
Well,
sitting
yeah,
there.
and then it takes. I don't know because I've never done it, but
Yeah,
I
me either.
venture
Right.
to guess it's again. This is just a thought,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
please, this is not medical advice, but I'd guess it's probably an hour.
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They're seeming to get faster from. I'm
Half an hour?
technical guy. Yeah, it seemed like they were
Okay.
an hour at one point. Maybe they're.
But let's say
30
it's a half
minutes,
an hour, but
that's time.
But
Jim.
yeah, it's time. And so I can go up to the gas station, and I realize this may not be the carbon footprint responsible
Right.
thing to do, but at the same time, I can go up there, do my thing, credit card, all that, pump the gas. I can literally pull off the highway, be back on the highway in
5
10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes. Yeah.
5-10 minutes, yeah.
Yeah.
So from a consumer perspective, is that important to me to be able to do that, or conversely that I can't do that? So these are the decisions that the consumer has to measure. But back to my point about being an entrepreneur, my job as an entrepreneur is to find a need and then come up with a solution for that need. So in a very simplistic manner,
That's such a great point, Jim.
yeah, in a very simplistic manner, I want to find a hole. Okay, I'm a businessman now, right? So I find a hole. I fill that hole in the best possible way that I can, in the neatest possible way that I can, and I really do a nice job filling a hole. So this person has their yard, they have a hole in their yard. I knock on the door and say, hey, I can fix that hole for you. I can fill that hole up. I can put some grass seed down. I can make it so that you'll never know that hole was there. And the person on the other side of the door says, you know what? I need that. I would like that. What would you charge me for that? I will charge you, and I do a calculation in my head. It's going to take me probably about 4 hours to fill the hole, to do the seed, everything. There's going to be some materials expenses. So $100 of material. And let's say I decide I want to charge you $30 an hour, 4 hours, $120, and I have $100 of material, it's $220. And I may, just to be safe, I'll say it's going to cost you $250. And then the person says, you know what? It's worth it for me to do that. And so I do it. So he or she does it. Or it's not worth it for me to do that. I'll
Figure out a different method.
I'll do my own thing. And I might say, if I'm a business entrepreneur, I might say, what do you think would be a fair price? And they say, I really think $200 is fair. I think $250 is over the top. And I have to make a decision. I'll do it for $200 or I won't. But that's the nature of business. That's the nature of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And that's how it works. So is there a need? This is the question that we should all be asking ourselves.
Yeah,
Is
it's
there a
great
need
business question
for the electric vehicle? Is there a need for that? And as an entrepreneur, can I satisfy that need
Right.
at a reasonable price? I just gave you an example. I'm filling a hole. It's $250. The consumer says, nah, I'm not going to spend that much.
Right.
Yeah, I'll spend $50. I say, as an entrepreneur, well, I can't do it for $50. That's not going to work for me. So we have a little bit of a negotiating thing going on here to where we come up with a number or we don't. So that's the challenge I see with the electric vehicle in the truest sense.
Yeah.
And I'm not playing politics here.
Yeah.
So please,
Yes.
no darts. I'm not.
Yeah.
But the fact is, do I as an individual have a need for an electric vehicle? Number one. And number two, am I willing to pay the freight? Am I willing to pay the price for for that electric vehicle? And so from the guy sitting here, no, I don't have a need for an electric vehicle. I don't.
Yep.
And if it was reasonable enough, I might consider, twist my arm,
Yep.
maybe I'll do it. But for what these cars sell for, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That's what makes America.
Right.
You get to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And if you want to buy an electric vehicle and you can make it fit your budget, go do it.
Yeah.
I think that this is problematic, especially for the middle class down.
Yep.
It's really expensive for
Right.
them.
Yeah.
For the higher income people, it's not nearly as much of a factor. So that all this stuff enters into it. You're talking about the free market here.
Yeah.
It all enters into it.
Yeah, and that with computers. 20 years ago, when we bought our first family computer, I was 13, 14, and it was a $2,000 computer. I'm sure you can buy a really nice computer for $2,000 nowadays, but a lot of them have come down in price.
It's called a
Right.
phone.
Yeah.
It's called a phone. Yeah, the computer you bought back when you
now
were
in
that
your
age,
pocket.
it's not even close to being
Yeah.
like the one I have in my pocket right now.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, and you
I mean,
see
just
that
think about
price
what
of the
we-
market just go down, like cost of materials go down.
Right,
What it takes to
exactly.
build it go down, expertise go down.
So if I've got this phone right here, it's an Android, and
Yeah.
I like the Android. I
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
People like the Apple. I never did it, never got involved with it.
Right.
Am I against Apple? No. It's just I've heard a lot about Apple being complicated, and that just there's all this. I like the Android, so I've had an Android for years. So this Android, let's say it's I don't know. I really don't know. $300.
Okay.
I like that. I'll get it. I got it. $3,000. Pass.
Yeah.
$30,000.
No way.
No, I'm not doing it. I'll take the flip phone for whatever. When you're dealing with a free market, price is a very important issue. It really is.
Yep.
And so that's where I see the problem with the electric vehicles.
agree.
A long
I
answer
agree.
to a short question.
Yeah.
I think they're very expensive for the average Joe.
Yeah.
Now, for the fella or lady that makes a lot of money, hey, let's go get it. We're happy. We love our electric vehicle. We feel like we're being responsible doing that. But
Awesome.
when you're
Awesome.
when you're
Yeah.
living paycheck to paycheck, too much month at the end of the money,
Yep.
and things aren't going so well, how are you going to do it?
Yeah.
How are you going to do it?
Yeah, they say one of the most debilitating debts is a car payment you can't
it
handle.
is. And I mean,
Right.
listen, I'm in the car business, but the bottom line is if the payment's $500 a month, simple language here, and I've got $200 in my budget, it's a no sell.
Yeah.
I just can't do it.
Yeah.
And I'm using
Simple,
mythical. I'm using numbers that are not applicable. But at the end of the day, there's this economic principle that does prevail. You're never going to get away from it in a free market. It's called the law of supply and demand.
Yep.
Okay. And the higher the demand for a product, the higher the price.
Right.
The lower the demand for the product, the lower the price in the client's mind. The higher the supply of the product, big supply, the lower the price. The lower the supply, the higher the price. So low supply, high price. In other words, we can't get these. I only got one left.
Right.
It's going to be more money.
Yeah.
I got 500 left. It's going to be less money. And so when I was in the car business, we always worked the law of supply and demand around, wow, I just found this buy on these 100 vehicles. I bought them. There's a lot of them. I bought them right so I can sell them. So we use the law of supply and demand to make deals with the consumer that we say, because we've got so many, we can sell these for X.
Yep.
And they say, wow, that's a pretty darn good deal. Yeah, you're right, it is. And it's not going to be for long because we only have so many.
Yep.
The law of supply comes into play.
Wow.
So the question I would ask you about the electric car situation is, how's the demand and how's the supply? And those two factors are going to relegate the consumer to saying yes or no.
Yeah.
And if the price is too high, then in order to sell them, they got to lower the price. But there's a point where they just can't go
That's right.
low. So that's always going to prevail. That's called a free market. That's called free enterprise, called capitalism.
Yeah.
Okay?
Wow. King, you heard Jim when Derek's always trying to throw Jim off. I gave him kind of a curveball. He not only taught you about the value of the free market, taught you a basic supply chain course, pretty simply, and taught you the value of things will go down and things will go up and making your own decisions. So, Jim.
Based on the law of supply and demand.
Yeah.
So
and
just think about that.
You taught about the value of entrepreneurship and how entrepreneurs need to serve a need. And it's so easy to get complicated and what is the exact strategy of the 17 steps I need to do in this complicated thing? And it's what need are you serving and how can you serve it and how can you take care of people? Keep it very humble.
Yeah.
What you
We'll
taught in the
get
Jim Shorkey.
real simple. Like in terms of the examples, there's a hole. Hey, knock, I can fill that hole for you.
Yep.
Oh, really? That hole's nasty. I fell in that thing 3 times last week. I would like to get that filled. What would you charge me to fill that hole? $50,000. Can't do it.
Yep.
Can't do it. I'll charge you $2,000 to fill that hole. Nah, still can't do it.
Yep.
What can you do? Okay, the lowest I can go is $1,500. Okay, we got a deal.
Right.
So I made a deal. I'm happy. I'm
Yep.
going to get paid $1,500. They're happy, and I'm going to do a great job because I'm looking for
Right.
referrals and repeats
Yes,
and all
sir.
that. So I'm going to do a great job. That's entrepreneurialism. Great service, great quality, the whole thing. Charge the price, get paid, and then see, I got a neighbor.
Having the
They
same
got a
problem.
bigger hole than this hole here. And I know she's been complaining about that forever. And I'll bet you if we called her together, I'll bet you she would do business with
Yes.
you. And so you call her and says, yeah, come see me. So I go see her. She says, how much to fill the hole? $2,000. Says, okay, I can do that. Let's do it.
Yep.
And I just sold another
That's right.
product, or actually this will be a service, but it's the same thing. The law of supply and demand. We have a demand, we have holes. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's apparently a lot of holes. So I got some work to do. And so we have a demand.
Yeah.
And if we can make the price, we can't make the price whatever we arbitrarily decide it's
Sure.
going to be.
Sure.
100 grand. Matt, can't do that. 100 grand for a Tesla. I can't do it.
Can't do it.
I don't have the money.
Yep.
My house wasn't that much. I
Right.
can't do it.
Right.
But I can do. And the problem is that price point that they can do on a consistent basis. I don't know that the electric car manufacturer can get there, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Right.
We'll
Yep.
see.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the answer to your question is, I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
truly don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
I don't know either.
enough
That's why I
about
asked
it.
the question.
I don't know
Yeah.
enough about it.
Yeah.
All I know is that in the real world
Uh-huh.
of commerce,
Yep.
the law of supply and demand
Yes.
is just like the law of gravity. It's real.
Yep.
It's real.
Yeah.
And it works the same way. And if you want to get messed up, mess around with the law of gravity. You're about to get hurt.
Yeah.
Because that 8-story building that you're messing around with the law of gravity, if you step off, you die.
Yep.
That's the law of gravity.
Right.
It's not something that I'm making up. The
Right.
law of gravity works. If I drop this, it's going to go down. It's not going to go up. It just doesn't. So understanding the law of gravity would be a very important thing to know.
Yeah.
And if we don't know that and understand it, we could get really hurt.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you jump off that 8-story building, you're not going to make it. You're
Yeah.
going to die.
Yeah.
Same as the lion out there. The same thing. You don't mess around with the law of supply and demand
Right.
when you're an entrepreneur. It's
That's
a
right.
recipe for going bankrupt.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So Jim, thank you for
Pleasure.
you guys heard all those nuggets that Jim dropped throughout this really short condensed time. So let us know in the comments below, what did you learn today? We would love to know what nugget you pulled from this time together. Jim, thank you. Thank you so much.
And
for-
lastly, if I could just interject.
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've messed things up more ways than I could count because I did stupid stuff and I learned from those things. And I understand how that all works. But at the same time, if I was going to give you any advice at all about life, don't mess up. You don't have to mess up. Figure out what the right things are that you should be doing and then go do those.
Yeah.
And let the things that you shouldn't be doing, let them off to the side. Now, if you do make a mistake, learn from it, move on. I get that. But I don't need to fall down the steps today just because I haven't done it for 30 days. I don't need to do that. I already know if I fall down the steps, that's a bad idea. I could get hurt really bad as a 66-year-old guy that just had a stroke. I can't fall down the steps. And I'm not going to go test that. I know. All right? So you don't need to fall down the steps just because you haven't done it for a while. So mistakes that we make in business are not necessarily, or I'm sorry, it's not necessary for us to make those mistakes to move forward. My advice would be find somebody who's smarter than you,
Yep.
who's done what you want to do
Yep.
successfully,
Yep.
and have a conversation. And then try to pick up those nuggets of wisdom that says, that say, I did these 10 things. All right, well, I'm going to do those 10 things. And I stopped doing these 10 things. And so I got my go list and my to-do list and my to-not-do list. That's what I'm going to do. I do not recommend trial and error as a recipe for disaster. Don't do trial and error. The trials take way too long. The errors can be devastating. So if you find somebody that's done what you want to do successfully, just copy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah. It's true.
So I can't answer about the electric car
Yeah.
situation because I don't know enough about it. I truly
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
And you know what? Seriously, at the end of the day, I made it out. This is going to sound rude. I don't care. I don't care about electric cars.
Yeah.
They mean nothing to me. I'm too little. I'm just a little guy. I know all this stuff about these different things. I'm too little. So
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell
Yeah.
you. I do drive
answer.
a hybrid.
Good answer. Yeah. It's good for us to say.
I'm driving a hybrid.
Yep.
I feel like I'm
Yep.
doing my part.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like my
you,
hybrid. I like it.
Yeah.
It's neat. My pleasure.
All right. We'll see you guys on the next episode.